wind advisory. So gusts still exceeding 30 miles an hour across our viewing area as of right now. So that is absolutely what you're going to be feeling. Like John said, the good news is we are clearing up, some of us even getting ready for some sunshine. However, still dealing with flooding concerns, because as we expand out, want to point this out. In the last 24 hours, we've seen nearly 500 storm reports, a lot of them being flash flooding. In fact, 125 of them were flooding, 38 hail around 1, wind damage over 300. Now, the good news is the flood watches have now started to clear for those Stanley, Anson, and Richmond compared to the last half hour when I showed that. But flood watches remain in effect for those like Ashe and Watauga County. Not to mention flash flood emergencies that are still in place, especially up in the mountains. Like John mentioned, the wind speeds still kicking up. Yeah, gusts exceeding 30 miles an hour. We're going to continue with these wind advisories in effect until later on this evening around 7 o'clock here. John, we're going to talk more about what we can expect as we head into the weekend next. The rest of us, and a lot of us, have exceeded at least 4 inches of rain. There are portions where we've exceeded around 5, 6 inches, especially the further west you are. So let's take a look, kind of zooming in right now. The good news is we are quiet, not really adding to these rain totals, which is some great news. But just taking a look at some of the estimates here, ranging from around 10, 16, 17 and a half. Like I said, there are some isolated locations where I have seen up to around 19 inches of accumulation. Again, that's limited up in the mountains where we've had catastrophic flooding, not to mention all the landslides that could potentially still happen here in the next day. So something to keep in mind. If you can avoid the mountains, do so. Don't go up there. So we do have areas like Burke County where we've potentially seen over 9 inches of rain. Alexander County up to around 7. And like I said, those highlighted in this orange, maybe even the yellow, seen up to around 5 inches of accumulation, including those like Mecklenburg County. So let's now talk a little bit about these flash flood emergencies, warnings that are issued for those like parts of Ashe and over into Watauga County, including Boone. This is going to continue until later on this evening. This also includes those like Iredell County, also into Alexander County, parts of Caldwell, Burke County, and this includes the Catawba River as well, which is also going to help feed into portions of, like we talked about, Mountain Island Lake here, which eventually feeds into Lake Wylie. This is just where we have the warning, though, so watching for those homes and residents in the area. As we expand out, seeing some wind speeds still kicking up right now. Wind advisory, like we talked about, remaining in place until 7 o'clock this evening. Gusts exceeding around 20 miles per hour right now. Today's max wind gusts over 50 miles an hour, like Charlotte, Rock Hill, Chester, even up in the mountains. Luckily, we're not dealing with that anymore. In fact, later on this evening, we will still have that light breeze. And by tomorrow afternoon, breezy at times, gusts up to around 20, maybe max 25 miles an hour. So watching for those windy conditions. Again, not quite like what we see.